Alright everybody, what we're going to be doing is marking off our sheet of paper in 1-inch grid. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. What you're going to need is a ruler. Now on the ruler, especially right here, you see this side that says inch, and we're going to mark off at every inch, and we're going to do that across all four sides of the paper. If you don't have a ruler, one of the things you could use, an inch in a pinch, is a quarter. Quarter just under an inch wide, so you can use that if you want. I'm going to go ahead and use my ruler. So I'm going to measure it out. At the top, what I'm going to do is line up the edge of the paper with the 0 line on my ruler. We don't want to use the edge of the ruler, we want to use where it starts at 0. And we're going to make sure it's straight and make a little mark every inch. And this is going to help us make sure we have even lines all the way across. Now what you're going to notice is you're going to have this little extra space here at the end of the paper. Don't worry about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But you want to shift your paper up. Don't rotate it. Shift it up and do it across the bottom of the paper too. Line it up. Make sure we're at 0. And make a mark every inch. Just a little tick, a little dot, line, a dot, whatever you want. Now, we're going to do the same thing on the side of the paper. I'm going to make sure it's at 0. And we're going to make a little line every inch. Slide our paper over. Remember, don't rotate it. You're going to slide it. And we're going to do the same thing on that side. Super easy up to this point. Now those inch marks are the ones that are right next to the numbers. It's the biggest line that you have on these rulers. Okay? You need to make sure you're super precise because it's going to help you make an even grid. Now, we have lines going across the top, each side, and on the bottom. Now what we're going to do is we're going to line up our straight edge. In this case, I'm using the ruler, but if you have maybe the side of a book, something that's really, really straight, so long as you line it up at the top, right on that line, at the bottom, right on that line, and you're going to draw a line across really light. Okay? Really light. And you're going to do that all the way across. Line up each line and connect them. This is kind of like a really simple game of connect the dots, right? Now if you can't do it this fast, don't worry, don't rush. I have a little bit of experience doing this, so I can be a little bit faster sometimes. But you want to make sure that your lines are super straight. Now we're going to connect the ones on the sides of the paper. Line 2 of them up with the ruler, and then draw it across. Now I'm drawing it a little bit darker than you will, just because I want you to make sure you can see it on camera. I want you to barely use pressure on that pencil to make sure our line is as light as possible. This is going to be especially important when we move on to rodeo art, because we want to make sure we do really well at rodeo art, and those rodeo art people don't like to see grid lines. Plus it kind of makes our artwork look goofy. Alright, now we have our grid marked off. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 across. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 down. Okay, 8 boxes across, 11 down. What you can do to help you remember, and you're going to see why we do this in a second, you can draw letters going across in the top corner. E, F, G, H. Okay, so it goes A to H. And then going down on the left side, you can write numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so we have all of our numbers drawn, we have our letters drawn. Now we can get to the extra work. Remember I told you about this little edge? We're going to completely ignore it. That edge, this little half square, don't worry about those. So we got A through H, 1 through 12, 1 through 11. Now, what you're going to be drawing on this grid is going to be our good friend SpongeBob. Now, you'll notice on the sheet, you can either find this online or you can find this, if you're in person, I'll have it for you in person. If you're online, the document is in Schoology. So you see here A through H and 1 through 11. All right, but our grid here is a little bit bigger than this. So I'm going to know if you copied. Don't copy. That's bad. What we're going to do is we're going to go through and copy what we see in each box, though. Okay, not by tracing it like this. We're going to draw what we see. So let's go through this together. I'm going to do a couple boxes with you. Let's go through the top row here. This A1 through H1, this whole row, nothing on there. So A1 through H1, we don't have to draw anything there. Let's see, A2, there's nothing. B2, there's nothing. C2, that's where we start to have some lines. So what I'm going to draw is only what I see in C2, which is just this little kind of squiggly line. So I'm going to go to my page. I'm going to find C2, that's this box right here, and I'm going to start drawing just that little squiggly line, what I see in that drawing. So it kind of goes up, it goes down just a little bit, and then back up again. And that's it. So if you were to cover that up, you'll see that that line should match this line. Okay? Now let's do D2 as well. So it goes up, down, and up. So we need to start up, dip down a little bit, and then go back up again. Let's go E2. E2 does the same thing, except that down is a little bit closer to the edge. And we're going to go across like that. All right? And that's all you're doing. You're looking at this one box at a time, and you're breaking it down. Think about making a house. Think about building a bridge. You don't try to build everything all at once. You try to build it one piece at a time. All right? Just like Legos. We are looking at this entire picture. We're taking this whole SpongeBob, all right? Whereas if you were to try to draw it, you'd probably end up like looking like Doodle Bob, okay? But if we just take little pieces at a time, we can get a pretty accurate drawing, okay? Now what I want you to do is I want you to go through each box and only draw one box at a time, okay? Later on, when we grade this, I should be able to look at each box and say, hey, in F4, we should see a little piece of his cheek, a little piece of his eyeball, and that's it. If I look in E7, I should see part of his tie and part of his belt and part of his shirt. Understand? All right, let's get to work.